And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money presents Perfect Transformation. Exactly. On another path, I kind of gave you all some leeway here in terms of telling you where I was heading as I grew into these senior years. And again, been on television for over 30 years talking about money issues and economic issues. And I found, and of course, you know, I'm in private practice, insurance and investments and all that stuff, and have been for 40 years. So I'm not a young woman, but this is one of the things I discovered, and that is that money is just a tool, and that until we're willing to deal with the whole part of humankind, the other dimensions of your life, you will find that money does not answer all of your needs. And so with that in mind, I chose deliberately, intentionally, over a year ago, before I turned 65, to look at making a shift in the program and focusing on a complete look at life from a human perspective. I'm not a bug, so I can't talk to you about a bug's perspective, but I can talk to you about a human's perspective, and asking to have experts on who could assist on a continual, committed basis to helping you live an empowered life, a transformed life, a life that is joyous, not a life you read about in a paper and say, that doesn't apply to me, or listen to on television on those crazy reality TV shows, that doesn't apply to you either. And with that in mind, I did this. And so I'm excited to again introduce my other two experts, Dr. Rick Howard, who's a naturopathic doctor and specializes in a holistic approach to health. Powerful. Money can't save you if you're dying. Many people wish it could, but it will not. And my other part of my team is Elder Dennis Hatchatt, who is the founder of Embrace Ministries, and he has a perspective that I find refreshing and delightful and empowering about a kingdom life. And of course, I complete the circle because my commitment is, again, prosperity in all of your dimensions, and to not just have monetary success, but be able to leave legacy for your children, have something of substance to pass on to generations behind you. And so I introduced today's show, and our topic is going to be today about change versus transformation. Did you know that you can make a change, but that does not mean that you have been transformed? And so I'm going to open this next hour up to conversation, and just sit down and relax and enjoy yourself and learn some things, because believe me, being in the presence of these men has changed my life immeasurably. And so I'm going to pass on that gift to you all today. Enjoy. So where do we want to begin, guys?
Well, I think we should remind ourselves, good morning again.
Thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I think we should remind ourselves, last time we began talking about transformation, and this is a broad subject.
Yeah, it is.
So unless we kind of dip down into our well, lest we forget where we started, okay? We said that change is different than transformation, as you just said, because change happens to everybody. And that's the problem. Change just happens. If you, quote unquote, sit still, change will happen. The wind will blow. Somebody will say, get up, I got to clean. Something will change. So what we're trying to direct people towards is constructive, purposeful change, where they're metamorphosizing their experience. They're changing with a purpose, according to a purpose. And then that will lead to a direction that they hopefully can predict.
And does that lead to transformation? And maybe we should be clear about what transformation is.
Well, you know, in the elements of change, versus transformation, you have to understand that when we have change, like you said, change happens. But what happens when we actually take authority over the changes and start giving direction to the changes? And as he said, add purpose to the change and for the change. And when we add that element of consistency, that element of consistency leads us into transformation.
Well, transformation, too, is kind of waiting in the wings in
I like that
everybody's
term.
life, right?
Absolutely.
Waiting in the wings.
Yes, and the problem is that as we fail or assess where we are at this point in time, we're going to transform. That the news has been written in the sky for a long time. We are going to transform. The part that is out of most people's control is how that transformation happens and where you go. Every person in this world is going to transform. Even if you wait till you die, so to speak, and say you're trying not to transform, your body is going to transform.
Your body is going to transform into dust.
After you die,
right.
it's going to go back to the dust. So how do you bring a more vibrant, more captivating, more pleasurable, more rewarding experience to that transformation?
Right.
And say, I'm trying to take a plane to Rio and not get on the plane to Algeria.
Got
Right?
it. Got it.
You want to take a plane to where you want to go to and be able to predict, okay, I'm getting off at this point. The same thing you're trying to do with retirement planning
Right.
or helping people overcome different problems. It's a transformation that is predicted and adjusted along the way, but then you take tangible steps to align with that. So hopefully that's what we're doing, is bringing out tangible steps by which that transformation can happen.
I think this is powerful, and maybe I think for the benefit of our audience that we need to be clear about the traditional sense of transformation. What does that mean? The Greek for that word is metamorpho, and metamorpho literally is akin descriptively to a caterpillar, a disgusting thing. I mean, even on a good day, it makes you recoil when you look at a caterpillar, and that caterpillar goes into a cocoon that it, by its own spit, it makes its own cocoon, and when it comes out at an appointed time and not a day before, it is so not like what it was before the cocoon. It is complete. You would not think they were even from the same species. Totally, completely different. That is transformation.
Absolutely.
Under the Greek definition of metamorpho.
Well, there's a part, if I can throw this in there,
Okay.
about what you're saying. I heard something on the news or something about the caterpillar, the cicada.
Yeah. Oh,
that
well, now see,
yeah.
now we're gonna get ugly because I detest
See,
cicadas.
I mean,
bird food.
most people don't like caterpillars. If a caterpillar got on you, you're brushing it off. You're
yeah.
trying to say, oh, no, that's not good. If a butterfly landed on you, oh, I'm going to be quiet so it can stay a while, right? But it's the same creature.
It's the
But
same
now,
creature.
here's an interesting point that I heard. On the cicada, they kind of go into their
15-year limbo.
But the temperature of the environment can make them come out early.
What did you say?
The environment.
The temperature. So let me be clear. May I conclude that as the soil gets warmer, that can be an impetus for them showing up?
Right. And
So-
so those changes.
Global warming will
Wow.
accelerate cicada appearance. on the top of the earth.
It's going to make changes. It's going to make changes whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not.
But
Oh,
people
boy, here we
aren't
go.
cicada, thank God, right? But the point that I am emphasizing, and I know you want to say something about this, Dennis. The point that I'm making is most people wait till they get in a hot place to try to make the changes.
Absolutely.
That will
Absolutely.
drive them into making changes.
Hot
or
place, can I
transformation.
translate? Does that mean pain, suffering, disappointment, crazy?
Pain, suffering, disappointment,
discomfort,
or just getting
all
what
of
I failed to plan for, or getting what I did plan for,
Okay,
whatever. It can
Absolutely.
make things hot. So why do we wait till things get
hot
before we try to transform?
Because we want to
Well,
suntan.
there's an obliviousness in life, and we walk around and it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. It's not going to happen to me, and it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to catch me because I'm Superman, and it can't affect me. But we fail to realize that even Superman had kryptonite.
Right.
So when we recognize in life that there is a kryptonite that exists, everybody's kryptonite is going to be different. Like my kryptonite is sugar, and I'm like, sugar is like donuts. Oh, wait a minute. Let's not leave out carrot cake.
Oh, God.
But see, now that totally take me out the water. But the thing is, we all have those things that appeal to us that will take us off center from our focus. Because if we have a focus to be healthy, then they have gyms that will transform you, because if you spend time in the gym, you'll go in one way and you'll come out totally different. So when we have our cocoons, some of our cocoons are the kitchen. Because when we go in the kitchen, we come in one way.
And we go out another way.
Exactly.
Oh,
and
my
all of those
gosh.
things are relative when we talk about social interaction. It's just the same. Because if we go into an environment where there's nothing but filth, foul, and filth going on, it will sooner or later start rubbing off on you, and you'll come out and be like, I don't talk like that. How did what happened? And one of the analogies I use with my brother, and I told him, I said, you know what, bro? If you hang around 6 broke folks, you will soon be the 7th.
It'll be 7.
You
broke
hang
folks.
around six folks, you will soon be the 7th. Whatever you environmentally expose yourself to on a constant is going to have an influence on what you become, and it's going to be part of your transformation.
Can I
This is interesting.
Come on with it.
on this, because
Did your brother
this
hit
is,
you, by the way? Bam!
Several times.
Several times.
Well,
Okay.
I think that there's something kind of profound about what you're saying, because we think, for the most part, that we are always in charge. Okay, we're in charge. I'm gonna watch Batman, and I know it's just Batman, so I'm just gonna watch Batman for a while. But the brain is so designed that whatever you give time to, when you sleep, when you're unconscious, when you don't think about it, your brain, they used to think that the brain would just rest when your body's resting. No, the brain is retooling and cleaning and doing other things. But part of that process is pruning away that which you did not spend time with. So if I spend most of my time watching Batman and little of my time reading worthwhile things, the brain will say, Rick doesn't think that these worthwhile things are worthwhile, so let's just cut this out. Let's prune this back and strengthen the circuitry of Batman.
Oh my
So
God.
what am I spending my time reading or doing or contemplating? Because whether I choose that or not, I have chosen it.
Absolutely.
And the brain has reinforced that choice.
The brain just says,
I got
okay,
it.
I got it. I got it. You want Batman?
That's
okay.
what you,
Holy cow, Robin.
Which has major societal impact,
It does.
because I don't ever have to have television. I'm just going to be candid with you. I don't watch it enough for it to matter anyway. At the point my children said to me, we were talking about Seinfeld, and I said, who's that? And they both just stopped and just looked at me and said, oh, we forgot, it's her. I said, I didn't know. I said, who is that? And they were like, Mom, really? And I said, is that somebody that I should know? Well, yeah, it would be nice, since everybody else does too. But I totally agree with you. The issue of reading and whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are of good report, think on those things. There's a reason for that.
Absolutely.
And you just said it.
Absolutely.
Because the brain will focus on that.
Well, you know, a great point was brought up last week and stressed on last week, because we talked about the thing that you love
Oh my God.
will transform your
Right.
life.
Right.
And all of those things that we're speaking to are on that list of things that we love.
Will
Because
transform your life.
we fall in love with Batman. And so now we're gravitating to Batman. And as he said, it's replacing something. Because the things that if we don't take accountability for our time and open our mind to understand our dietary practices go far beyond what we eat.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
dietary practices are what we allow in our eye gate, what we allow in our ears as well. And if we're not monitoring our practices, we're being shaped and transformed in ways that are environmentally sound and consistent. And they will make us something, and we're like, we don't even know how we got here. And we call ourselves like everybody was stuck on Star Trek, and they were a Trekkie. And I'm like,
I was
okay.
amazed at that. How does that happen?
It's
where you begin to
the
think,
persistency and the consistency, as he spoke to.
and the brain
the
just
mind,
lines up with that.
when we as individuals, we have that.
Right.
So what we take in, we hold it, we're digesting it, then we release. The more we take that in, the more we're digesting it, the more it becomes a part of who we are.
Yes.
It's no longer what's on TV and what's going on and what's being offered. We actually make it a part of our infused being because we keep taking it in. We keep taking it in. You know what that saying is, you are what you eat?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever you're eating in here,
In your eyes. what
whatever
looking
you're
at.
eating in here, along with whatever you're eating in here, they all collectively go together and they all work together.
But you know, I would, I agree with that statement. You are what you eat, but I would modify that from.
Let's modify it.
Okay.
And of course that's been around a long time.
Yes, sir.
But to me, the more precise thing, and for what we're talking about, is even more critical. You are what you digest. See,
Absolutely.
if I ground up bricks and I put it in my mouth, it was dust. I can get it down. It'll go, but it's not going to become a part of me.
Right.
So I have to eat things that will become a part of me and will transform me in a way that I want to. So, Batman, number one, do I want that to become a part of me? Where I'm running around in tights, doing stuff that's unseemly. Okay. Okay.
But you got to have the cape and the mask too.
Yeah, because you don't want nobody to see you running
Right.
around.
You don't
in
want nobody
tights.
to know who you are.
Right.
But then there are things that I do not, like you said, filter. I don't choose what I put in my mouth, or things that I put in my mouth thinking it's going to be something good that's really not going to become a part of my life no matter what, because there are certain boundaries or certain values that are established that have to be intentionally done so.
Absolutely.
It cannot be accidentally added
Exactly.
to my life as
Absolutely.
a part of my life.
Can you give me an illustration of that?
Okay, well, and this is probably the most common.
Okay.
A lot of people will go to church thinking that just because they put their bodies in a building, that the values that are being taught will become a part of you. Or people hang around smart people
Thinking.
and think that I'm next to Dennis, so it's
so
just
don't-
going to become osmosis. That ain't the way it works. Because if I want what he has, or if I want what's being presented to me, I have to choose it. I have to choose it. I can't fool my brain. My brain knows, okay, I've set my body over here for 2 hours, 3 hours. Then I go home and watch 4 movies back to back.
Or football, or
or
something,
football,
yeah.
or whatever. What is going to be the most impactful? Not where I set my behind for a couple of hours, but what I actually chewed and digested and made a
And took
part
away.
of me, or I spent the night screaming at the television about Donald Trump, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever it is.
But I think that's powerful, because I believe that the majority of our citizenry today is not aware. It's simply not aware that even by their non-response, they've made a choice.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that is more powerful to me than the active decisions that go along with making those ultimate choices. They are not aware. And as a result, when you look at people, because I'm a people watcher, and you can pretty much conclude by observation today, that's how real this has become, that internalization of those experiences, particularly what I would call mediocre experiences. Now you are a mediocre person. I can look at your behavior, I can listen to your conversation, and excuse me, young people, I'm not judging, I'm just observing. And I can pretty much conclude that your choices have not been beneficial for you.
Well, I think that a lot of people fail to understand, old and young,
Okay.
that those kind of unconscious, conscious choices that we make, where we let all sorts of stuff flow into our life, all sorts of people flow into our life,
Say
that
that.
really
That's real.
robs the power that our lives should have. We get to a certain point in our life and we say,
What
why
happened?
am I
don't
here?
I have more? Why don't I have more power? Why don't I have better positioning with my life? It's because maybe you gave your power to other things and other. Time is the only commodity we have that is irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
I can replace a car, a house, a job, God forbid, a spouse. You know, and to some extent, your relationships. Okay, I can replace that. But what I do with my time, there is nothing that can grab back even 2 seconds, even 10 minutes. It's gone.
And time is also a measurement. It is also a measurement so that a person can look back through time, retroactively, and see their life story evolve.
Yeah, absolutely, because you know we talk about life stories and we talk about how individuals evaluate it. A lot of times when I give my testimony of being 58 years old with no medications at my house of any kind, no illnesses of any kind, people will often say, well, I want to be where you are. I wish I had what you have. I wish I can have what you have. I said, well, you can. I said, but you can't have what I have if you're not willing to do what I've done. And
there it
in a lot of
is.
instances, we are oblivious to what needs to be done to set us up to be in these positions. We don't know the sacrifices that are necessary and required to get here.
Required.
Exactly, required.
required.
Because the thing that we do, in a lot of instances, we operate out of that thing that I call personal preference. And our personal preferences will tell us, oh, well, I'm not giving this up because this is
what I do.
Exactly. And I'm not giving this up because this is, and I'm not giving this up. And all those things that you collectively refuse to give up are the things that are keeping you where you are. and keeping you away from what you just said you wish you had.
But is it a sacrifice to give up something that's killing you?
But see, that's what I don't. But I think there's a level of consciousness.
It
okay.
is.
Yeah.
It is, because the thing that we talked about this earlier, and we talked about an individual's on the cigarette pack. It says,
Right.
these things cause cancer, and he's
They'll
like,
kill you.
and he's reading the pack, and he's like, yeah, these things cause cancer, and you have a light.
Right. Right.
The same thing is, and that's our personal preferences. We totally overlook, and in a lot of instances don't even have an idea what the consequences are for the actions that we're doing, because we're dealing with the right
But
now.
how do you learn to care about consequences? See, I think that's
where it is.
That's really
yeah,
where it comes down.
yeah.
The person can read on the pack of cigarettes, the government has made the cigarette manufacturer put it on there, and yet that is still the #1 killer of people smoking cigarettes and blah, blah, blah. So the question is, for everybody watching, how do I learn to love what is good? Because whatever I love will transform my life. But how do I learn to love what is good?
And despise what is not.
And despise what is not. So
Right.
that whether we choose to couch it that way, that's what we mean when we say a moral power, a moral decision.
Absolutely.
I am learning to value this over that. I am learning to make better. Okay, I evaluate my life and say, oh boy, I'm in bad shape. Okay, that's okay.
Okay,
There are a
okay.
lot of people out there
In bad
that
shape?
in bad shape.
Yep.
Okay, like we can be in bad shape.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But the point is not whether you're in bad shape or not. The point is, do I learn to choose good over bad? And then once I've learned to consistently choose good over bad, then I learn to choose better over good. And then
Absolutely.
I consistently learn to choose better
Better.
over good. It may not be, people say, I don't see what's wrong with it. That's the wrong question. What's right with it?
Right.
Is it moving me where I need to be? And then ultimately, I'm going to learn to choose best over better. You see? And that's how
Yeah.
transformation happens. I may be in a bad spot. That's not the end of things. That doesn't
Right.
have to be the end of life.
Right.
I don't have to give up. Oh, I'm in bad. Just learn to consistently choose good over bad.
And have the faith that your decisions of good, better, and best are for you. Not for me, but for you and your life purpose. I think this is so deserving of more conversation, because I do not believe that people would continually shoot themselves in the foot if they understood that they were shooting themselves in the foot. When you talk about, well, how could a person smoke a cigarette? Well, if they're addicted, their brain's addicted,
Well,
what do you do here?
in a lot of instances, the point that he made, that moral fiber,
Yes.
is significant, but there's another part that we have to throw in there too, and it's biblically said that where there is no vision, the people perish. So if there's not a vision, so that we can have a plan to incorporate all the intricate parts that go together for success,
Right.
the parts that we leave out are the parts that lead us into that place where we find ourselves shooting ourselves in the foot. Why? Because we have no direction. We have nowhere that we're centering and channeling that energy. We're not purposefully operating in a way that's going to be choosing those things that are better and those things that are best, because our focus is not to get to a better place. Our focus in a lot of instances is just to simply make it through the day.
Well, you've kind of turned over a rock though here, because really, in order for me to choose good over bad, that's vision. I have to envision that as being better than where I am. Otherwise, why would I move?
Right.
But if I can see, oh, they're going to pay me $12 an hour and I only make $7.50, even though $12 an hour is not a lot,
It's more than
it's
$7.50.
more than $7.50.
There you go.
I envision myself, what will I do with that 12 that I can't do with
the
$7.50?
Right,
Yes,
right.
sir.
Okay, both of them are not the place that I want to land, but it is vision to say, I see that as better.
Right.
That's a vision.
Right, right.
See, it doesn't have to be grand vision. It just has to be vision.
Absolutely.
And then once I train myself to live by vision rather than by sight.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
come on, come on,
Okay,
come on.
Okay,
now,
I'm getting stirred up now.
Okay, now you get
Stir it up, stir it up.
See,
stir it
I
up,
mean,
stir
I
it
think
up.
that you can see a lot of things. People present, oh man, if you just come and work with me on the street here, you'll have some money. That's sight, because now he's putting some money in my hand.
Right.
But the vision I should keep in my mind is the day when I'm
Locked up,
locked
clink,
up.
clink. Yeah, clink, clink,
I
clink,
should keep
clink.
a vision of that.
yeah.
But if I can say, you know, hey, this is where I want to land out, and you live around people that are not necessarily the richest people, or they don't have to be the smartest people, but if they have a vision of something, wow, that is going to impress me, because vision is catching. You see, that's why hip hop artists, you know, other people, they have influence because they have a vision that is catching.
But may I say something pertaining to just that thing? Because again, as a member of the Facebook community, I read all manner of stuff, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm not gonna unfriend anybody, because I want to hear all manner of garbage that people are seeing and commenting on. But this obsession with stardom, as if it could happen to you, because that is their vision. That is their vision. You cannot ride on somebody else's vision, can you?
Well, you can ride on it, but it'd be just like, you know, the horse that has no saddle. You won't be on the horse long.
You won't be on a horse long, because you don't know what they had to put into in terms of time, effort,
And preparation.
to get them where they are. You're looking kind of puzzled.
Well, I'm just thinking about what it's saying, because really the whole point of riding someone else's vision is almost the definition of culture.
Aha! Whoa, no, you did not go down that path.
I mean, who told people who was the first person to think it's good to, I don't know, put a nose jewel or put a hole in my tongue?
Let's start with Arsenio Hall in the backward hat.
The backward hat,
young people don't even know where it came
sagging.
from. Yeah, who?
I'm riding someone else's vision, and when enough people are riding that vision, it becomes popular.
And then culture.
And then I embrace that vision without a knowledge of whether that should be for my life or not. I embrace that vision because I see Dennis wearing his pants like that. I say, that's how I need to wear my pants to fit in with Dennis. People are always co-opting someone else's vision, and when enough people ride it, they say popular culture.
Whoa.
And then when the falling off the horse process
Yes,
starts.
I was going to say, let's get to the bottom line. The cliff is lurking.
Yeah, if you got your pants drooping and you go into this corporate office and you fill out this application for this $20 an hour job, and they look at your pants and they say, we'll get in touch with you.
We'll get back with you.
And you fall off the horse because now you just missed the opportunity.
But you know what, Dennis?
Even though you may have had all the preparation, all the credentials, and everything that is necessary to fulfill the requirements for the job, that vision that you connected yourself, embraced, and made your culture, now just got you knocked off the horse.
But I gotta interrupt
of your
you.
future.
I gotta interrupt you.
Okay.
Interrupt me.
You're telling your age. You telling all our age.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I used to think that, okay? I used to think that, okay? Guy got half his arm tattooed.
Yeah, tattooed
and
nose,
side
you
of his,
know, little horns, everything.
but now I'm seeing the bosses are doing the same thing. And the bosses have bought that vision. So now they're saying, hey man, come on in. I'm gonna hire you. That is what affects the cultural change that we are seeing, where people are tethered to something that's not tied down. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
define that. You're okay. I'm not gonna make you.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
drowning.
Don't make me. Don't make
drowning.
me. Okay.
Right? I'm drowning, and someone yells, "Don't worry, I'm gonna throw you a rope," and they throw me a rope, and I said, "Great." And then I keep pulling on the rope, and I find the rope is not tied to anything. He has thrown me a rope, but I'm still drowning.
Yes.
That's what's happening culturally. What's happening culturally is people are, see, I used to think.
That's what
I
analogy
and I'm
of
gonna
falling
tell
off
you,
the horse.
I used to think,
I-
okay, this guy, he's gonna see it. He's gonna hit the fan when he goes to that office and he's sagging, and the people at the office are doing it. The
And
people
you know
at
what?
the office
I can actually attest to that. I did a consulting assignment at a major bank, and that's the epitome of conservatism.
Right.
I mean, I
Used to
came
be.
out I came out that culture, and I came in there with what I thought my appropriate attire was, my suit jacket, my Armani's, my Chanel shoes. I click, 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 click. I walk in this place, and I see, Tootie the Clown. I said, what the heck? And Tootie's girlfriend comes waddling by, and she's looking like Space Lady. And the whole place was full of, it wasn't age specific.
No.
Nose rings, tattoo.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Listen. It
a
has
cultural
been,
shift has happened.
And I will tell you, it really, they said to me, the manager said, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but do you have children? I said, yeah, you may want to talk to them. And I sent them pictures of what I look like. All three of them sent a response back, no, this won't go. And I went to the thrift store. I went to the thrift store because I said, I'm not paying money to be culturally relevant. You're paying me for my brain, not. And I bought, which I still wear, I bought culturally specific clothes for $1.99. But
see,
it was a trip for me.
What happens?
Yeah,
what happens when the whole cultural experience is sliding in that direction? Where do you
It's
stand?
exactly what I said.
You said
Where
about
do
the
you
horse,
stand?
off the horse.
Yeah.
So where do we? So where do we go with this?
I think there again, and this is I'm sure going to be rehearsed over and over, but that's where this old-fashioned term that we got to dust off of standards.
Come on.
Now,
you haven't heard that. You haven't heard that. Let me put that under wraps, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say you bought some property. You bought 6 acres.
Okay.
But on the far edge, you notice somebody's digging a hole on what you think is your property. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you go up to Dennis and say, why are you digging on my property, sir? This is my property. I just bought it. He said, no, this is not your property. This is my property.
My property.
Okay. If people don't believe in any standards of right and wrong is relative,
Yep.
you should never call the police. You should never call the police because this guy is just doing what he feels is right. just because you feel it's wrong, but now what will solve that problem?
The
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
I said, okay, I call a survey company
Right.
and they show, oh, okay, indeed, he was 3 inches from your property, but he was not. So now I feel better.
Right,
Right?
'cause he was
He's
not
digging on his
Right,
property.
right.
That's all a standard does, is give us established boundaries so we know how to relate to one another. Now when you look at him, your blood pressure's not going up because you think he's digging on your property.
Right. However, and just as an add-on to that situation, because of this cultural dissonance, as I said, that gives people the right, they feel, to do whatever they want to do. Case study. Woman lives next door to a family. They have dogs that bark nonstop. She's not in the best of health. She asked them, can you please do something about your dogs? Because they're barking nonstop and I'm not well. This has actually happened. And their response was, I don't know what you want me to do. They're on our property. And they're fine. Their barking doesn't bother us. And she said, but it's making me sick. And their response is, not our problem. Not our problem. That is a problem to me.
Well, I think what you've just described is what Dennis put as falling off the horse. Culturally, we can have an idea that as long as I'm within my rights, everything's cool. But really, we have to interact with people all the time beyond our rights.
Beyond our rights.
Beyond what we feel is affecting us in the immediate sense. Because sooner or later, what you do will impact someone else. You know, I've often driven past, and you know how you get stopped at a stoplight and you just kind of look out the window. Well, I looked out the window the other day and there were just gobs of cigarette butts right there. Probably because each person threw their butt out saying, it's so little, it's only one butt, and everybody's throwing it until there were just gobs of cigarette butts. That's how we need to see what we're doing as a culture. It's just me, but it's gobs of me affecting the atmosphere for everybody.
Absolutely.
So based upon what we've talked about, how easy in this depraved, I have to call it depraved, I don't have a kind word to say about it because people do not seem to care about one another as a part of the human connection. People do what they want to do without a conscious understanding of the impact on other people, that other people are watching you, whether you like it or not, they're observing. Given this, how does one proceed in this mad world to transform? I mean, to go from a stinky, self-absorbed, eating like a machine caterpillar to a butterfly.
I would just simply put it in this term, and this is as simple as I can get it.
Okay.
If you have a boat and you want your boat to be able to travel and do whatever on the oceans, on the seas, whatever, but when it's time to come in, you come into the harbor, how do you keep your boat from banging into everybody else's boat and wandering off? You anchor it.
You anchor it.
We as a society, as individuals, we're anchored. And that anchoring, it doesn't make what happens to that person next to me change anything, but my anchoring keeps me within the boundaries of my lane, right? And so it considers that person, because if I don't anchor, I can bump into that person and bump into this person, but I anchor, and then that causes solidity and some consistency in my life. Anyone that is living in today's age know that everybody from high to low is untethered in a lot of ways. They're untethered.
Doing whatever
what
they
they
want to do.
and then they want you to accept what they're doing as legitimate. Now, I don't have to like everything everybody does, just like they don't have to like everything I do. You know, I might like tofu eggs. Some people say, what?
What?
Okay, that's fine. But where the boundaries meet, okay, that fence line,
Right.
society only works when we respect the fence line. Society only works when the white lines on the road continue to mean something.
Yes.
If the white lines on the road or the yellow lines on the road do not continue to mean anything, then we've lost. And that's what's happening culturally. The white lines, all of a sudden now, the white line doesn't mean that's my lane.
Right.
The white line means it's my lane if I want it to be.
Along with that, you know, when we talk about being anchored, we also must keep in mind that all things work together. And when we talk about all things work together, we've spoken to purpose, we've spoken to choices, we've spoken to vision, we've spoken to morality, we've spoken to focus, we've spoken to boundaries, we've spoken to standard. All of those things incorporated together systematically are going to set you on a road to somewhere. But when there's no systematic formulation and you're not anchored in your systematic formulation of purpose to reach a certain destination, then you're allowing influence and outside influences to determine who you are, and what you're going to become. Because the thing is, we gravitate, well, I'll say it this way. We are malnourished and dehydrated. And we're operating in a sense of desperation, and we're grasping at anything we can to give identification to who we are, the tattoos, the nose piercing. We're gravitating to all these things. We say it in the old sense, looking for love in all the wrong places. Absolutely. So when we are anchored and we incorporate love into our soup that's being stirred with all these ingredients, now you start to see a manifested change or a metamorphic change, or that metamorpho you spoke to. But it's because all these things work together. And after we come to an acknowledgement because of the evaluation of our lives and say, okay, now let's systematically sit down and say, what do we need to do to move forward effectively? That's when we start making that transformational reality a reality. But it's not until all those things corporately start coming together.
The complexity of life, though, is that everybody doesn't accept that vision.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That what you set up and you talked about respect and boundaries and stuff, there are actually people who are trying to blow that up.
Absolutely.
Right? There are no societal norms.
Right.
There are no, even today, there are no gender norms. What I grew up with, they say, oh no, that was just a figment of imagination.
Right.
What do you consider to be real or standards or whatever? I think the boundaries happen and become more important. How do I react when someone doesn't accept my vision? Do I still maintain my integrity? Do I still accept what my purpose is? Or do I adapt and become chameleon-like to change to whatever everybody else says this is good or right, or, you know?
Well, you know, I'm not a good person to deposit that, because I've never been moved, even as a child. I was always very directed in terms of the things I did. And and I have to just be open about it, because I believe that it was God's purpose to develop these qualities in me as a female. It is a challenge because without that anchor, being tethered to that anchor, that stability, you will become a castaway. I can't see it any other way. I know, and I will tell you, all young people experiment and do things, and I did, but it never felt right, and I came back to the center, which was how I had been raised and the family values, and I found for me that it worked. But of late, and I say this because everybody out here is doing everything, but the measurement of success is, did you reach the finish line intact with all of your moral foundation in place, with the legacy of your children and grandchildren where they're happy and balanced, where you have joy in your heart from being able to help people and to support people? And do you have joy within yourself that if I leave Earth right now, boom, next, that I can face my Maker without shame and embarrassment? And I think a lot of people don't want to paint that picture because it really is a scary picture. You never know when your last time is your last time. You don't get a repeat performance down here. And so there we are. We're wrapping up our time. We only got a few minutes left. Let's give some concluding comments on that.
Well, like I said, I think that we're going to definitely come back to
this. We don't have a choice.
This topic. But I will say that instead of worrying so much about other people, we have to start the conversation within ourselves.
Truthfully.
And then move from bad to good, to better, to best.
And what is your thought?
I agree. But when we do that, we must incorporate purpose. Because now, if the purpose is still for only me, you're going to end up right back where you just came from. Because now everything is going to be evolving and revolving around you. So when there's purpose that is for these his so great of people, and I'm doing what I'm doing to learn, to grow, to be able to teach those to be better, to choose good, better, and best. Now you have an objective to look forward to as well.
You know, and I want to conclude to all of you that are viewing, this is the challenge of the ages. We are in a culture that is self-centered, self-deceived. We actually believe, even when we give money, that we are doing something for, oh, didn't that feel good? I'm like, excuse me. Did you see what oh, God. Anyway, viewers, now you see where I'm at. And it's worth the ride. You need to hang on. You need to be a part of this world as it evolves, and with my two amazing friends, as we talk about transformation, perfect transformation. And again, I welcome you and thank you for being a part of today's show. And please feel free to communicate by email, mygraves@gmail, no spaces, just mygraves@gmail. Both gentlemen have phones that if you wish to talk to them about your situation, I'm sure they'll be happy to hear from you. Give them your number real quick.
It's 513-571-9210.
Okay, and
513-479-9302.
And there you have it. Can't be more transparent than that. Thank you for being a part of today's segment. And again, I wish you a wonderful, peaceful, and blessed day. You take care. Bye-bye.